guys, welcome back to Skin Anarchy. I'm so excited about our episode today because we are going to be really diving into the world of beauty from, I think, a very unique angle. Our guest today has so much amazing experience in her career from so many different avenues when it comes to looking at what women go through, when it comes to understanding how we perceive ourselves, what we go through day to day in our careers, and now creating her own line and coming into the beauty space as an entrepreneur. So I'm so excited. Please welcome Lisa Hanna. Welcome, Lisa. I'm so excited to have
Hi. Thanks, Eric. It's good to be here and good to communicate with you. I've listened to your podcast for a long time, and I like it because not only is it deep and profound, but you definitely delve into the more substantive issues that sometimes are not the superficial ones that people want to hear. So I'm always for listening to what you have to say.
Thank you so much. That means a lot coming from you, and I'm hoping we can dig into some things because your career is truly profound. It's so amazing what you've already accomplished and seen, all the different
Mhm.
angles. And I really actually want to start there, Lisa, if you don't mind, kind of walking us down memory lane. I
Sure,
mean, you started in the beauty world, with Miss World in
I did.
1993, and
I
then you
did.
moved into politics. I mean, that's very, interesting. Walk us down
Uh,
that lane.
uh, Well, I was the accidental beauty queen. So
Mm.
I left high school, and then my mother, who used to make all my clothes, I think it was more of a dream of hers for me to enter Miss Jamaica. So I was more of a freedom fighter, school leader, community activist, but I used to model her clothes when she made them. So I think she thought that it would have been okay. And I was also a black belt instructor. So I was a tomboy. So I entered Miss Jamaica when I was 17, just leaving high school, I think more as to satisfy her. And I won big. At the time, I was a host of a national television program. So the country had already known who I was, but I certainly didn't know how to tweeze my eyebrows. And I had very big hair. I was just not that girl that dreamed of being a beauty queen. So won that in September. Then I went to Miss World in South Africa and won. And at the time, South Africa was going through its democratization. So apartheid had just ended. Mandela had come to Jamaica, and I was so inspired by this man all my life.
Yeah.
And so I was more interested in what was happening in South Africa. So I would sneak out of my hotel room. I think what happened for me truly is I didn't typify the aesthetic of what standards of beauty were to be like because
Yeah.
I was more organic. I was more of a people person. I would sneak out of my room to talk to the guards and the janitors and the housekeepers to just get a sense of what was happening in Sun City, South Africa, because it was such a symbol of in the world where Sun City was and what was happening in South Africa. And I found myself in this place that I had heard so much about, and I wanted to get a sense of how they felt about it. So I think what happened for me is there was this big groundswell among the masses of the people in South Africa and the working class about Miss Jamaica. And Jamaica had played such a formidable role in the fight of apartheid as a country who didn't, in the 1950s, have its own independence from Britain. So
Yeah.
fast forward, I won Miss World. I It was at 18, and I was thrust into a world that was very different. I felt as if I was an other. In other words, I wasn't the person who was a superficial person, not saying that beauty was superficial, but it was not something that I was accustomed to. The makeup artists, the hair, the modeling, how to project in that way. I was much more of an introvert in in a certain respect. I mean, if you see me on stage, you'll be like, no, she's not.
Yeah.
So I decided at the end of that, and before I even won Miss World, I was a UNDP Goodwill Ambassador, which was the direction I was heading into. So did 2 degrees after Miss World, worked around the world in project management. In my early 30s, I was the youngest member of parliament, a female member of parliament in Jamaica, became a minister of government very early, a cabinet minister, spent 20 years basically in politics. I retired last year. I'm a kick-ass political strategist, and I was good at it. And I said, well, at 50, I think it's time to give other people. I think leadership has an obligation to give other people an opportunity to present their ideas. And I think as leaders, especially in national policy, there comes a point where you need to give the generation coming forward the ability to express themselves about what their generation needs. And I had always believed that. And I thought, well, if this is your belief system, you need to step. And so in
Mm.
stepping, I knew that I also still had to fund a lot of the activist things that I was still doing. And I found that there there was this very big idea because as I got older, the concept of becoming more was something that I believed. We accumulate with age. You sit down and you want to speak to wise people when we go to a surgeon, we want somebody with experience. You typically want to get advice from your parents or your grandparents, but for some reason, the the language that we were taught in the beauty industry has been built around correction and reversing.
Yeah.
And language is never neutral. If we're constantly told that the evidence of time is something to correct, eventually we see ourselves and believe that time has diminished us. And I rejected that. So there was the narrative of beauty that I was rejecting because I was seeing so many young women insecure and so many of my colleagues insecure about getting older. What am I going to do? And then there was the other thing where, because I was working in fields and farms and I had the largest constituency in Jamaica
Yeah.
geographically, the temperature is fixing roads and you're in gullies. And as an MP, you had to press flesh. If you're not with the people day in, day out, apart from parliament and in the ministry, you're not going to win your seat again. And so
Mm.
an election was every 5 years. So my skin, as it aged, I felt the difference. So I couldn't do retinol. I couldn't do alpha hydroxy. I couldn't do vitamin C. And what I was finding is that as trends developed, the industry would pump copious amounts of actives into products that wouldn't match skin. And so I felt the industry was more homogenous
Mm.
and it was aggressive in this fight to reverse correct. And I felt there wasn't anything out there. And I tried everything. So from I was a teenager, I knew about beauty. I knew about the beauty lines. I was a person with Estee Lauder with that when the yellow moisturizer came out, and then it was Lancome, and then it was La Mer, and then it was Guerlain, then it was Chanel, and so many different things. And then there was this real explosion of other brands, which I also tried. But
Yeah.
I would have to shop across brands. And I said, you know what? This is not helping me because as a woman that needs 30 hours in a 24-hour day, I don't have
Mhm.
the time to do this. And nothing is existing to give my skin what it really needs at this point. So that's it in a nutshell, basically.
Yeah, no, I mean, I have so many questions, honestly, because you've touched on so many topics that first of all, I mean, I'm blown away with all of the things that you've done and you've seen and you've accomplished. And I really want to actually ask you this because I feel like a
Sure.
lot of times women in power, the way that we perceive them is even more, like we scrutinize them even more than we already scrutinize women, with beauty.
Before we open our mouth.
Yeah, and it's like, I mean, I think all of us have seen headlines where, a woman who is in politics, you hear about the dress she's wearing or the way her hair is before you hear about her work or her advocacy or her passion. And I would love for you to touch on this and talk about how was that, and tiptoeing around all of that and, still maintaining who you are from that stance of like beauty and those
That's
things.
a really good question. And to answer it, I would have to tell you that in the beginning, I was a novelty. So when I went into Parliament, it was, where's this beauty queen going? She can't have any sense. And why is she coming here? And maybe for the first couple of months, you got heckled. I got heckled. And that was very clear. But I think very quickly they realized that there was such a deep intellectualism to who I was
Mm.
And that was the first thing. The second thing is I was not a pushover. I was a blood sporter. And so the my ability on the X and Y axis to not only be intellectual, but to kick your ass in the field and to stand up to you. So I'm fearless. And they learned, the men in the parliament learned very, very quickly just not to judge me that way. And
Mm.
then over the course of my nearly 20 years in politics, there was always a fight. And you learned, or certainly I was good at it. So I knew that in any political war, somebody would have to die on the political battlefield, but it wasn't going to be me. So
Mm.
a lot of my political career, both as minister, as MP, as regional chairman, as treasurer of the party, as somebody who was always in the top three in the polls of the country as a representative. Yes, I was a target. The second thing that would happen though is I'm somebody that has always lifted weights and was very much into exercise. So
Mm.
what I would wear, and it wasn't that I was not elegant or graceful, but I would always be picked on. So there were two motions, for example, in Parliament about how women should dress because one day I wore something sleeveless. Or I remember the speaker called me once to say, Lisa, the men are having problems because they said your pants are too tight. When nothing like that. But the funny thing is, I've never dwelled on those things because I have always been a iron fist in a silk glove. So I've never focused on that. And I
Yeah.
think they knew that those things never bothered me. And even when some of the harshest political critics, I just kept going. And so to know, there was a real sadness on the part of the country when I decided to retire because this is a woman who has grown up in front of the country. We've seen her since she was 14. We saw her win Miss World. We've seen her do this. We were hoping she would be our prime minister.
Yeah.
And so there is still this longing and but you get that and way before you open your mouth there's this judgment. So even I remember once I wore a swimsuit and posted it
Mm.
in 2013 and that created a national debate. The newspapers wrote articles about it. The
Wow.
Catholic Church came out about it. How can our minister of government be in a swimsuit in a bikini? And I had a
Mm.
t-shirt on. So there was always, I think there was always something that somebody would have to say no. It's very interesting because there's an ageist component to the beauty. So
Yeah.
no, because I put on a swimsuit and it's like, well, why is she in 50, 51 in a swimsuit? She should be covering up. So I think in all the parts of my life, there's always been something that I have had to surmount or
Yeah.
to hurdle. So now I'm
Yeah.
getting that other part. Well, and people are saying, well, she's showing how her products work, and it's true.
Yeah, I mean that's such a very very strong statement what you said, the ageist component in beauty. I think now more than ever we're starting to see it resurface and now it's getting rebranded and it kind of bothers me a little bit because I'm like
Mhm.
we're still dealing with all of these problems still. They haven't gone away, the stereotypes, the siloing of women, all of it is still there. We're just wrapping it up in prettier packaging and selling it again, and I think for me
Correct.
I'm sure you've seen longevity everywhere. Longevity for me, a lot of it is like that.
I,
So,
I know, but it's a word it's a word I think is overused and also misplaced because it sounds good. And it's why I say age intelligently, because the all of us on this journey that we're going forward with want to accumulate knowledge. And whether it's knowledge about your health or whether it's knowledge about your profession or whether it's knowledge about how to raise your children, more appropriately and learning that, or whether it's knowledge about self-care, that's a journey that we're all on. And for me, the what we've I think what the beauty industry doesn't tell us is that our skin is an organ,
mm,
and
yeah,
how we go to doctors for or kidney or heart or liver. But I've just seen so many young people fight the skin and doing so many things to the skin. So for me, when I decided to create this line, it was a lot of education behind it, a lot of how can I use even my own life as something to inspire people about how to take care of your skin. And that's not to say to women that I'm opposed to corrective surgery or what you want to do, but I'm also saying to you that remember your skin is at its best when it's supported,
Yeah.
when you're not fighting it, when you're working in harmony with it. And for a long time, the beauty industry has told us not to work in harmony with our skin.
Yes, yes, I couldn't agree more with you. And I know that with your line it's wonderful because you've created a truly like a luxury focused brand, but it's very much grounded in science. And I'd love for you to talk a little bit about this because I
Mhm.
think in the world of beauty right now, I'm seeing a lot of pushback where it's like you can either have luxury or you can have science driven, but I think that's a misunderstanding. And so I mean, tell me, why did you go to Italy to collaborate on your line?
Italy, I found was doing some very innovative things in skincare and cosmetics. And I didn't think the world was paying attention. That's one. Two, I wanted my products to be EU regulated and to pass EU standards. But they were also pushing boundaries that I liked, and not boundaries in a way that was going to break the skin barrier. But for example, looking more at mastic resin as an ingredient to mimic retinol, to do to ensure that the body internally was now stimulated to produce the collagen, the retinoid acid. I liked so I liked like what I was seeing and hearing from this particular lab. And so I went and I remember sitting down with Victoria, and she's the owner of the lab, and she's been in skincare for 30 years. And I said, listen, at this point of my life, and I think what I certainly want women to be able to feel is the internal mechanisms of who we are
Mhm.
to be stimulated. Because any change that I've seen in my lifetime, whether I worked as a student, a leader, or as a UNDP Global ambassador, whatever it was, systemic change starts from the ground up. It never starts from the top down. So unless you get the people or unless you get the systems to change from the ground, and when I say the ground, from the foundation, it's not going to move. So, and it's the same way I led. So what we did was we created this quantum RECP with a very unique molecular structure. With the mastic resin, we protected the vitamin C, so we didn't have an overconcentration of vitamin C, and that the vitamin C didn't break until it reached your skin. I knew how important vitamin D is for your immune system, but you can't put vitamin D in skincare. And so we found molecules from green grapes, for example, a particular green grape that helped with inflammation. And then the matrixins were important because I believe skin must recognize what it already knows. And I think matrixins as peptides are undervalued and underrated.
Yeah.
And what I when I and the lab set out and I said, listen, we need to make sure that whatever we give to women has such a sensorality and it doesn't sit on top of the skin. So the molecular structure and the biolipids have to be so, there's a word that I'm looking for, so precise
Mhm.
and orchestrated in such a way that as soon as it touches your skin recognizes it and it drinks it. And that's what happened. And so we took 3 years to get to where we wanted it to get to. But then there was something else. I felt that as women, if I spend my money on something, especially because we work so hard and coming out of COVID, I saw the data behind single households. I saw the data behind inflation. I saw the data behind what was taking place, both in terms of when consumption and surplus happened because of the war with Russia and Ukraine. I saw what happened with stimulus packages and where women were heading. And I thought, well, why don't we give women the ability, since they love luxury and they're using their stimulus packages to buy luxury, why don't we give them the opportunity to buy it without breaking their budget? Because every woman deserves when they go home to feel luxury. And so for me, it was also about not trying to make gazillions of dollars on this thing, but giving great packaging, making sure that when you held this bottle, this glass bottle, it sat beside your perfumes that were expensive,
Mhm.
and giving you a product that's going to work for your skin, that's clinically tested, dermatologically tested, but was beautiful on top of it. And that smelled great. Because also for me, even though it's science, I don't want to smell like formaldehyde.
Yeah.
And I wanted to go back to a sense where the sensorality of something made you feel sexy, made you feel sensual and good. And then built into the model and the business model, the fact that skincare can transform skin, but it can also transform lives. So 5% of everything goes back to helping women and children with neurodivergence in particularly my country, because we only have two child psychiatrists in Jamaica. So only
Wow.
7% of our children's mental health needs are being met. And so if 7% of that population, which is 800,000 children, imagine all of the adults that were not diagnosed who are now adults. So for me, as a minister of youth and culture, I used to have mothers coming in, taking their children to police stations for uncontrollable behavior. And when you tested the child, they either had dyscalculia, dyslexia, they were ADHD. And so my activism, so it's an activist beauty brand in
Yeah.
terms of helping your skin, but it's also an activist beauty brand and on a mission to help more women and children that way.
I love that. I love that. I love that you didn't separate your life's passion from, this new chapter. And I think
No,
it's very rare to see that, honestly, because I feel like a lot of times people come into beauty, at least from what I've seen, just like watching the beauty industry, they come into beauty, they kind of lose the sense of who they are, so it's hard to figure out like, what are you bringing to the space? That actually is very, very meaningful for myself. I myself am neurodivergent, so I know exactly what you're talking about.
my son is, and he's
Yeah.
25. And
Wow.
look at what you've been able to achieve.
Yeah.
But without support, you would not have been able to stay that course. And I look at my son even now, you know, d- and I'm sure he knows that he's neurodivergent, he has ADHD. But I've seen Alex, for example, graduate in the top 100 of his class. But he has a mother and a father who was able to understand that and support that. There's so many children from where I come from and that just don't have that. And I've
Yeah.
seen what happens to them, especially as minister, and they get lost in the system. They turn to very dangerous behaviors. And so if I can help in any way, so that's really also why the brand exists.
I love that. I love that so much. And I want to say because one of the biggest things for me recently has been like I love seeing brands that are founded by people of color because myself included, growing up, I did not see myself in this industry. I think most of us can relate to that. We like,
Mhm.
whether that was shade matching or finding a founder you can get behind and like kind of relate to, it just wasn't there, And so
No,
when I see brands like created by, people that represent you, that you can relate to. Sometimes for a long time, it was like, well, it only fit into a box. And so seeing a beautiful luxury brand come from, somebody that I can relate to is a big statement,
thank you.
like that's a big statement in this industry. And I'd like for you to speak on this because I think for a long time, there's been this like terrible, terrible umbrella that's been put on like, fe obviously female founded brands, but also people of color founded brands where it's like, you got to fit into this like mold. Otherwise, you
True.
don't fit. And luxury was never part of the mold. Luxury
No,
packaging,
and so
luxury feel.
it's
Yeah.
funny. I'm a writer, so even
Yeah.
all of the copy that you see on the website and on the boxes, that's me.
Yeah.
And the so I never had a copywriter for the brand. That was me. So the brand is really, and I have a great board of directors who small, but they allow me to to do certain things. But you're right. And when I just started out developing in the very embryonic stages, I had people saying, well, you should do the brand for people of color. And I said, why?
Yeah.
This is, I want to do skincare for all skin types. And I was, even the brand agency I was working with to do graphics and things like that were trying to pigeonhole me into that area. And I said, no, not because, and that's the West, though. It's a very interesting model because in Northern Africa, in India, in the Middle East, it's not like that.
Yeah.
In other words, if somebody like me comes along, because of that melting pot of ethnicities, and I'm part Lebanese. My father was Lebanese and my mother is black and Chinese. So I come from a very deliberate melting pot by accident, but it's just where I come from. But so if I'm in Morocco or Egypt or Saudi Arabia, I pass as that. If I'm in the Western part of the world, I'm seen as a woman of color, which is
Mm.
very, very different. So I think it is still typecast. Fortunately, in Europe, it's not as much like that. The We've been very, very grateful that the product is for all skin types, and we definitely set out, and it works the same way across skin tones, whether you are more melanated or you are of a lighter hue. The products work clinically across all skin types. The fact that I look the way I do, I don't think is a preventative step to being able to educate women about skincare. I think what it does, though, is the digital mechanisms of who we are today pushes the algorithm in a particular direction, which perhaps is something we need to talk about in the beauty industry. So why is it that we're being, you know, some people are being pushed in one direction and other people are being pushed in another direction? But at 51, I'm 51 on Thursday, and I can't be who I am not. If you can't,
Yeah.
I can't at this point try to be in my 20s because I'm a mother of a 25-year-old. And so to try and please that generation would be antithetical to who my value system is and who I have been. And I think that kind of authenticity is also important when building or doing something for a generation of women that needs leadership. They need people, I think, who have a voice of experience. And I think they also need somebody who is competent and who's prepared to stand on the front line and say, no, man, I have your back. And I promise you with my integrity that based on what I've lived and what I'm giving to you, you can count on it. And and I've always been that person. I will stand on the front. I don't lead from the back. So if I'm going to war for you, you best believe I'm going to be on that front line fighting on your behalf. And that's who I am, and that's how people have come to know me in my leadership as well. So I can't change from that.
That's wonderful though. And I think what changes things at the end of the day, wherever
Mhm.
you are, whatever industry you're looking at, it has to be full frontal kind of, like here I am, here's what I stand for, and there's no
Mhm.
apology, there's no, that kind of
Yeah,
thing.
and the other thing too is I think we have to be very clear in our narratives
Mm.
that not because you see me rubbing product on a woman who is more Afrocentric, I will also rub product on somebody who is Latina. I will also rub product on somebody who is Asian. I will also rub product. And not because you see me rubbing product on somebody who's white or Asian means that the product is only for them. And we've learned, and it's the same thing with the beauty industry. I think we don't need more ingredients in the beauty industry to change. I think the beauty industry has to just have the courage to change what it taught us to see. Because for too long, it taught us to look at beauty in a particular way, which I still think that lens is. And why I thought it needed voices like mine globally. And I will continue to amplify that and speak on those things. So it might be a little bit uncomfortable, to have somebody coming disrupting the narratives, but I think skin reflects how we live. And that's the realization that became fundamental to Lisa Hanna Beauty.
No, that it makes a lot of sense. And one thing I really enjoy about the collection is that it's not only focused on like, for example, with darker skin types, we always get hyperpigmentation products. That's all we get.
Hmm.
That's all we get. We get brightening products, and that's the pretty much the extent, of innovation of whatever. And I would love for you to speak on this in terms of like you created a line that is inclusive on many fronts. Obviously,
Hmm.
there are many social components that are built in, but also from the science side, the collection is beautiful. It's for meant, like you said, it's meant for everybody. You can use, there are night products, there are day products, there are hyperpigmentation products, like everything's there. So when you were building that, how was that? Explaining that to your lab, explaining that to your scientists, like, I want this to be for everybody.
Well, everybody needs a ritual with something,
Yeah.
and whether we have the time to do it, but the things are not homogenous. If I was to develop a political campaign, no, there's not a one statement. You might have a goal, but if you break that down, you recognize that your voters are not homogenous. You
Hmm.
might say something that might really offend somebody else. And you're also trying to transform a belief system. So it's the same thing with products that we use. In other words, I'm a big believer in a cleanser. I like a cleanser. I don't like to feel my face and my skin dry though, and I don't like it to feel stretched. Moisture is very important. And as we get older, our skin loses hydration. A
Hmm.
lot of people don't know that. A lot of people think that if they rubbed petroleum jelly on their skin, or if they had oily skin, that their skin wasn't dehydrated.
Hmm.
And then you had those who were buying body glows. I mean, when I was Miss World, and we didn't have body glows at that time. So I used to buy like a bronze eyeshadow and then break it up in a bottle of Vaseline and mix it together, and that would be my body glow.
Oh, wow.
So, or my lip gloss. But now women want to feel a sense of radiance. But how do you get radiance with skincare, that with something that doesn't sit on top of your skin? So putting the line together, I felt women also needed the practicality, the utilitarianism, the pragmatism of being able to go to one place and get everything that they needed, which was 7 products, a beautiful gel cleanser, which was hydrating, that didn't strip your face and didn't break your skin barrier, a hydrating elixir. So if you didn't want to use a moisture creme or anything, then you could infuse your face throughout the day with hydration, which is so important. And then, for firming, people love a serum. I love a serum, and especially for your jawline. So that was important for people who wanted maybe 3 steps. You could do the cleanser, the elixir, and the serum, and then a beautiful moisture creme because you needed something heavier at night and something that made your skin protect the serum. The eye gel is critical, and people sometimes don't give an eye gel enough, what is the word? Credibility.
Yeah, yeah.
And so an eye gel is important. And sometimes I wake up and my face doesn't. So it's like, what do I need to do?
Yeah.
And then the luminous face and body glow, which is a serum and it's kind of the jack of all trades, which it's
It's
perhaps
phenomenal. It's phenomenal.
isn't,
I love it. Yeah, I'm
yeah,
obsessed
for
with
your
that product.
face and your body. And it's not heavy. You don't
Yeah.
feel like you need to bathe. And then the hyperpigmentation balm. I I had visited so many bleaching factories around the world in
Yeah.
Africa. and I saw what were in these products. But I also knew why women wanted brightening, because hyperpigmentation just doesn't wake up and one morning and find you. It happens because of the sun, the stress, everything else. But I see in my country where women mix chemicals, destroy the skin barrier, mercury, hydroquinone, all kinds of bleach, bleach powder, and then
Mm.
their skin gets very dark. And there are areas that they typically put it on their face, their bikini line, these areas. And I didn't want a product that was a serum or liquid. I thought it was more important for women to just have something on the go that was hydrating. And that product actually works.
Yeah.
That Fade Balm is an amazing. It actually has become our hero product of the
Wow.
line.
It's wonderful. It
And
feels wonderful. I've loved
yeah,
it. I've been trying
yeah.
it.
And you can use it everywhere. Bikini line, underarms, scarring. We didn't test it on melasma.
Hmm.
People have been using it on melasma, but generally, age spots, men use it. I have friends who use it. White men use it, black men use it. It works beautifully on white skin. I mean, it gives such a radiance on white skin. It's unbelievable. I use mine maybe once a week because it works so fast. So I just use it on my face and on my body because I have dogs. I have 7 German Shepherd dogs, and they love to jump and scrape and do all kinds of things. So I use it. I use it for those things too. So the
Yeah.
line was created out of a necessity to give women the ability to come to Lisa Hanna Beauty for all of their beauty needs as their skin gets older. And rather than say, well, how do I make my skin younger? I thought we were always asking the wrong question. It's how do I work with the skin that I have today to make it more resilient, more radiant, stronger, more effective.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think that really comes through. I mean, for me, it really, to me, it stands out because when I look at, for example, beauty rituals, I think of my mother a lot because my mother, she didn't have a beauty ritual, to be honest. She had her,
Neither did mine. Mine
you
had
know,
oil of Olay and water.
yes, yes, and and looking at someone like that who's aged so gracefully, I look at like what did you use? And I mean, I hate to say it, but a lot of these like luxury creams for the longest time, they were for white women. They were
Yeah.
for older white women, and it was never marketed to our mothers. It was never meant for them. They never felt like,
And
you
it
know,
was heavy. It was
it was
heavy.
heavy.
It was perfumed. But
Yeah,
they now realize that also wasn't working
yeah.
because it wasn't doing the kind of hydration that they needed. It didn't have the actives in there.
Mhm.
It was a lot of marketing, and that's what it was.
No, yeah, exactly. And that's
Yeah.
that's one of the big things was like I know if I went to my mom even today and said, "Mom, go buy a big jar of La Mer," my mother's going to be like, "I'm not going to spend that money on that because I've
No.
got what works for me." You know what I mean? That
Hmm.
kind of thing. And so that's another big thing
But
question that
I
I have.
certainly I don't want to say this. I know I'm being recorded,
Yeah.
but I'm sure when let me not say it, but there is a cold cream beginning with P
Yeah.
that all our mothers used to use, begins with P, ends with S. And if you feel the one you just spoke about, it almost feels the same way.
Same. It's the same. It's exactly the same. Yeah. I know.
So,
And that's the thing, right? It's because, and that's why I asked you that question earlier about like the luxury component of it, because we never had that marketed to us. Luxury was never marketed
and
to the,
it's
yeah,
funny. I remember people saying to me, "No, you should go mass because that's where." And I said, "No, there
no,
comes a point that as someone who has seen all sides of life,
yeah,
I had the international warrants out for my arrest because of custody battles. I've had, you name it, I've seen it.
yeah,
And I said, at this point, women need to feel from somebody that they are truly cared for, and that I will give them a product that when they see it, they're proud of it. They want to use it. Even if you want to reuse the Lisa Hanna Beauty bottles to just put your hand soap in
mm,
your bathroom, that's fine too. And so I will give you a product that will make you feel proud, that's going to work for your skin, that when you even put it on your vanity or your bathroom counter, you want to look at it. You want to be able to see it. And that's why I wanted to do luxury. And it was very important for me to give a luxury premium. I mean, when I go into Equinox hotels, for example, and I look at the line with other beauty brands, and even the staff says to me, Lisa, people come in here and they're just like, wow, that's so beautiful, and they pick it up, and that's what I want. That's and not only is it beautiful, but it works. And so when you buy it, I want you to spend your hard-earned money on something that's affordable, that works, and that you are happy to take home.
Yeah.
Mm,
Yeah. I
You
I
know,
I mean, I
how do
think
you
that's
how do you feel about? I mean, how do you like the packaging?
Oh, I love it. I love the whole line. I love everything about it. I've been using it. I've been displaying it on my countertop. I mean, it's literally gorgeous. Like, what do you mean? Yeah, no,
What's your favorite product?
it's the body. It's that body, the
The
serum
luminous
for the
base.
body. I use it every time I'm using, like, even if I don't wear, because I don't wear like sleeveless or anything, but it's like on my neck, I just put it everywhere. It's beautiful. And I
Thanks.
mean, I think
Put it on your face too.
everywhere. And I love the mist actually. I was going to tell you the face mist is
Hmm.
gorgeous and it feels so good. But what you said really resonated where you can reuse that bottle. I was the first thing I thought of when I opened that. I was like, I'm not getting rid of this ever. Like it's gorgeous. It's stunning. Sitting on my vanity for the
No,
rest of
use
life.
it. Listen,
Yeah.
buy your hand soap when it's done and put it in your bathroom
Literally, I'm
and
going
put
to
it
put
in
water
your,
in
yeah, exactly.
it. No, it's
But
you really
that elixir is an unbelievable product.
no, it feels
And it's,
amazing.
and if you notice, and I'll tell you this secret,
Yeah.
you notice that it comes out a little heavier than a regular mist.
hmm hmm
That was also intentional. Why was it intentional on my part? Because you need to get product on your face and on your body. So this is not a cooling product. This
hmm
is something that your face needs and that your skin needs, especially at when you wake up, when it is 11 o'clock in the day, when it's 2 o'clock in the afternoon, when your skin has been working and working and working and it's tired, you need to infuse that hydration. So it comes out a little bit more than a mist, but it's an elixir, which is different. So it's not a mist, it's an elixir, and that's why it comes out. It's not heavy, but it's not going to go, it's going to
Yeah.
really make you infuse your face.
No, it's definitely more than a mist. I remember when I first experienced, I was like, oh, this is like almost serum. It's like a hybrid. It's
It
between a mist
is.
and a
It
serum.
is. It
And a
is.
little goes a very long way. And it's beautiful for makeup prep also. I was using it under my
Ah.
makeup and it was beautiful. It's just gorgeous.
Do you know what you can do too? Put a little, just do one pump of your body glow in your foundation.
Oh yeah, I need to try that.
Yeah.
Yeah, try it. No,
And then
I really love the Body Glow product though. Like that's like a very, very unique product for me because I've
mhm.
seen a lot of these like and once again, okay, I'm gonna be honest with our audience. Like I always, try to be honest. And the thing is, Body Glow products never work for me. They don't look good on me. Okay. Like I'm just gonna keep it on. I am not a white woman trying to get a tan. Like I already have a tan. I need to, just make it look better. And I
Right.
never find that in body products. Like it's the hard truth. And so when I used it, I think that's why I got so excited because it's got the subtlety of like the shimmer, but it's not putting a bronze on my body. You know what I mean? Like that fake
And
tan.
that's not what we wanted, because
Yeah.
it's not makeup.
Yeah.
And also you realize when you put it on that your skin drank it,
Yeah. Yeah. It
and it
doesn't
was
sit.
it no,
Yeah.
because it has a quantum RECP. So everything in the line has this technology, and your skin recognizes it. So whether it's the eye gel, whether it's the elixir, whether those matrikins, that vitamin C in that one, we buttressed it with ceramides, niacinamide, hyaluronic acid, and everything is so precise. So every product has that quantum RECP. So it's not as if one product has it and you buy that one product and you get that ingredient. All of the line, down to the cleanser, has the quantum RECP. So your skin is constantly, and you will see the difference. And I'm sure you've seen the difference in your face by just using the elixir.
I love it. No, I love it. It's an instant hydration, but it's also just like not heavy. I think that's
No.
one of my biggest pet peeves in skincare is like I don't want to feel heavy. I don't want to feel that pilling and that, you know what I mean? Like the
And
grossness.
if you what one of the things, I don't know if you tried this, did you try all 7 products on your face?
I don't think I've done all seven on my face.
How
I
many did you do?
think at least five of them. The cream is beautiful.
Did you feel heavy after? It didn't feel heavy, did it?
No, none of them have felt heavy at all.
Mm.
That's yeah.
But and tell your listeners probably why, because you're a doctor. Because your skin, it went into your skin.
Yeah.
It didn't sit on top of your skin.
It's biomimetic. Like it's
Yeah.
actually marrying with your skin. Yeah, no, it feels like that too, though. I mean, and that's, and it hits that hits on a very, very important topic, right? Because I feel like a lot of times the products that are marketed to us,
Hmm.
they skip that. So it's
Hmm.
like if you can get it's almost like the industry says to us, you can get luxury, but you're not going to get quality in it. You'll get the bottles, but you won't get the formulas. And that's what I see time and time again is that, you know what, I end up spending $200 for something that's like, yeah, it's meant for all skin types, it's meant for all colors, but the formula sucks. It's terrible,
It's
you know?
true.
So I'm
You're
like,
right.
what do you mean it's meant for everybody? My skin hates this, you know? And it's like, yeah, I've got a pretty bottle now, but I don't have a formula. So that's where I think you really hit that nail on the head is,
We did.
yeah,
And you know something else? I was just looking at our DTC statistics today, and we're only 3 months old.
yeah.
38% of our customers are repeat.
Oh, wow. Well, I can see
So
why.
not yeah, we're not only growing and scaling, but people are coming back in the testimonials. I We had something in New York on Friday, and this one lady came and she came to show me her scar. And it's funny, she had sent it to me by DM, and I answered her, and she showed me something that happened to her. Something bit her, and it was huge, and it was like it was whelping and everything. And she said, how I got interested in Lisa Hanna Beauty was I bought the Fade Balm. You
Mm,
cannot, if you saw how the Fade Balm helped her to heal. And then she said, Lisa, I just bought the rest of the products and my skin. And so even women who are menopausal, who come out, their skin, for some reason, feels very dry. I
mhm.
think because of the hormonal changes, they love the product because it's the first hydrating product where they actually feel hydrated
Yeah.
and it's not itchy. We've had women who are going through chemotherapy and the radiation is really rocking their skin. And the elixir and the moisture cream and the serum and just the cleanser, they've said to me, I've had one oncologist who has said to me, Lisa, she has 2 patients and she recommended that they buy the products, and it's something that made them feel so much better in their care because their skin was so dry. And you know what happens to cancer patients once they start that radiation
Yeah.
with the chemotherapy? Their skin gets very thin
Yeah.
and it almost hurts, and it's so the products work on that kind. So it's very hydrating, and we did spend a lot of time on the formulas. We did.
No, it shows. It really shows. I absolutely love the brand. And I think for me, it goes, I mean, I know we don't want to silo Lisa Hanna Beauty in any kind of a box, and I don't like talking about like, oh, women of color founded brands. Or I actually hate that narrative myself. I've had many guests on
Mhm.
the show where I'm like, let's not even talk about that. But at the same time, I feel like what you're creating is setting a tone for the women, like young women now, because I know for me, in my generation, luxury and taking care of your skin and you know what I mean, this whole skincare routine thing, it was not normal. It was not the routine thing to do. It wasn't something we were taught that, yes, you should treat your skin like what you said earlier, like an organ. It deserves
Mhm.
care. It deserves daily rituals, and I would love for you to speak on this because you have had these roles in life that you've been in leadership and you've seen women go through this, like putting themselves last, and not caring for themselves. Speak to us about that in terms of like why that matters now more than ever. Um,
Because the truth is, skin reflects how we live.
yeah.
It like anything else, if you don't take care of your body, if you and people are now realizing that the biggest part of longevity is, and the best macronutrient for longevity is protein, and also weightlifting, because muscle mass is what is going to take you through. So for me, I didn't want to create products designed around getting older. I wanted to really understand what the skin needed and how you could formulate intelligently and aging intelligently, which is how we promote our skincare, has to also do with how you take care of your health. And taking care of your health also doesn't mean poor skin health
Mhm.
because your skin is that organ. So if you can't abandon efficacy in that from that perspective, I want you to be radiant, I want you to be hydrated, firm. I want you to have beautiful looking skin, not necessarily younger skin, because you can't erase that time has passed. But there is an important distinction between wanting to care for your skin and believing that we need to correct ourselves. And that's where I draw the line. So I want women to have that ritual. I want them to recognize that you must spend the time the same way you take your supplements, the same way you exercise, the same way you spend the time to read, the same way you know wear, and I don't, but you wear an Aura ring to monitor your sleep health, the same way you buy an eye watch to monitor your steps. You have to do the same thing with your skin. You have to pay attention to it. If you don't pay attention to it, then you're going to wake up one day and say, well, which is what happened with Zoom
Yeah.
during COVID when women started to see themselves and they started to say, well, I don't like what I'm seeing. And it wasn't that they didn't like what they were seeing. It's just that I think they'd never really spent the time to look at themselves before. And
Yeah.
then there was this synonymous reaction that was also taking place during Zoom and COVID, where influencers and Instagram started to now push beauty products in a way that I have never seen in my lifetime. And
Hmm.
so it was, this is what's going to work for you, and this is what's going to work fast. And then the whole thing went into a spiral. And I think all people started just kind of tripping over themselves and things blew up. So for me, it's less about adding more ingredients that are harsh, but understanding what works and spending that time to take care of your skin health, which is very, very different to correcting and reversing and fighting. And so I want to say to the generation coming behind me is look, spend the time, spend the money, stop buying like hundreds and hundreds of products. Don't do that.
Yeah.
But spend the time and see what works for you. Do not destroy your skin. Do not be going into the sun to lie out in the sun. Do not do things that you're going to regret when you get to my age.
Yeah, that makes sense. Well, it's a beautiful brand, Lisa. I'm very, very excited that you're in the beauty space and doing, you're doing such a great job. And I really, really applaud you for not, kind of, I don't know, just going into the same old territory that everybody seems to go into. That's the, I think, really, really exciting part of I feel like luxury brands somewhere along the line lost that feeling though. You know what I mean? Like they lost
Hmm.
that appeal of like, yes, this is a luxury brand, so it's going to do more for me. That feeling that people used to have, we got rid of that somewhere. It's like people started cutting corners. And so when I look at your brand, you didn't cut corners. It
Mm-mm.
works. It works on the skin and you can feel it. And so, yeah, keep doing it.
Thank
So,
you.
but
So
thank
yeah,
you so much, Lisa. This has been
you're
so lovely
welcome.
to chat with you.
Thanks.